Joining us now is a man that not only was so damn good on a football field, he made it to the NFL, was drafted in the 6th round, but that's after taking a year off, being an absolute sensation. He would go on to become a Rhodes Scholar.
Whoa. Wow. Whoa.
A neurosurgeon.
Jeez. Excuse me.
And go to Oxford while playing football for Florida State, the Tennessee Titans, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Harvard neurosurgeon, now author of the book, The 2% Way, How a Philosophy of Small Improvements Took Me to Oxford, the NFL, and Neurosurgery. It is out now. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Myron Rolle.
Yeah,
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Hey, Doc, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Look at that. You got a goddamn book up over your shoulder, dude. Let's go. Hey, let's go. Look at you, man. This is, could you have ever imagined all this? I mean, I assume at some point you had to, have dreams and aspirations, which is why you worked your ass off and everything like that. But there's no way you could. I just read off. Did you hear me read off your accolades? That is not what one human normally accomplishes, right? That's like a family. Yeah. That's like a town, not one human. Could you ever imagine this, Doc? Could you have ever imagined it?
Probably not. My parents were incredible visionaries for me and my brothers, coming from the Bahamas and really laying it out for us to say, look, if you want to achieve something great in this country and in this world, you need to focus on your school, focus on your education, be good citizens, good humans, and doors will open up for you. And as I matriculated through school, through life, through football, meeting different people, forming networks, immersing myself in culture, and trying to just be the best I possibly can be, doors open up to write a book and to inspire people and to motivate and to mentor, and now to do brain surgery at Harvard here in Boston. So it's just been a phenomenal ride, and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, what you just said there. Yeah, to motivate people and inspire people and write a book and do brain surgery. Yeah, like obviously, it's unbelievable. You're a special dude. I hope you obviously remain humble because you are doing brain surgery. But I hope at some point you look in the mirror and say, "I'm a badass motherfucker." Yeah. And I'm intrigued by the book here, The 2% Way: How a Philosophy of Small Improvements Took Me to Oxford, the NFL, and Neurosurgery. Out now. I read in the. Did you write this bio thing that I got?
Yes.
Oh, my. Hey, this is one of the most, I don't read books, okay, not my thing. I read a lot of tweets, though. So normally the type of language that I read and the word choices that I read, very elementary. I say, what's that reader's scale? The Scholastic Accelerated Readers Program. Normally like 3rd, 4th grade stuff. This thing, one of the most well-written, I was reading it aloud. Who'd you say? Did Spielberg fucking?
Stephen King write this.
Yeah, Stephen King write this thing. It's unbelievably well put together. But here, how you found your 2% way that you've taken to your life. It was from Florida State University defensive coordinator Mickey Andrews, and he's from the Bear Bryant tree. And he said, someone in Alabama or Clemson is working just as hard as you. I need you to be 2% better than them in some way. And you've kind of taken that to your entire life. One thing from a coach in practice, and you've taken it to your entire life. What does that mean? Because, like the Colts right now are 1% better every day. I've heard people do the 2% better. How do you actually piece that together? Is that just mentally saying, I need to get a little bit better? But whenever you put a number on it, how do you decide what the hell the number is? And is that number changing literally every single day? Because 2% of something that is 2% added the day before is bigger than the 2% that was 1 week ago. So I just need to figure this out for me. This would be great if you could break it down for me, Myron, because I've been wondering for some time now.
No, I appreciate that. That's a really good question. So you're right. It started from Coach Andrews. He was the originator of this thought, this idea to all of my teammates. He wanted us to get a little bit better every day in practice, whether it be our stamina, our ability to disguise blitz packages, our ability to high point the football, whatever it was. He wanted us to get a little bit better and had those small incremental growths. Because if you get 100% better tomorrow, it's almost impractical. No one really can do that. But so we wanted it to feel real, manageable, realistic. And so I took this thought process, brought it to life, as you mentioned. And now I use it in my professional life as a physician, my personal life as a father, as a husband, my relational life, my spiritual life, just trying to stack the days and win each day. And so when we say 2%, the number two is not as important as just the manageable small bites that you take, right? If you can do something just a little bit better and just move forward just a little bit more, you focus more on your progress than your deficits. You focus more on your growth than what's going on around you. To me, it quiets down the background noise, allows you to focus and lock in to your purpose, your goal, whatever it is. For me, I wanted to always be a better neurosurgeon. I've always wanted to be a better community advocate. I've always wanted to be a better son, a better brother, a better husband to my wife, doing all these things. But if I felt like I was rushing or out of pace by moving too fast, too soon, too quick, then I knew it wouldn't work. But if I just take small steps and self-reflect every day after each day and say, you know what? I did a little bit more today. I communicated a little bit better today. I read a little bit more today. I prayed a little bit more today. I worked out a little bit more. Whatever the case may be, you look back a month, 6 months, a year from now, and you can see the growth you've made. You see the steps you've made, and you know you're a better version of yourself. So that's what you wrote about in this book, and we're excited to share it with everyone for sure.
I can't wait for people to read it and learn about it because it gives people purpose too, doesn't it? I mean, whenever you...
Oh, no.
No, we lost him.
Oh.
Hey, welcome back. Great to see you. Great to see you. Yeah, was at the hospital. If somebody needs brain surgery right now, we obviously understand. You would have been gone already because you're a great doctor. So you wouldn't even needed to for us to say that. But I think having the 2% thing and then reflecting, it gives people purpose, right? It gives you like a goal. Because I think for friends of mine that have maybe got out of the NFL, and I don't know if it happens with doctors and stuff like that, but whenever they wake up with nothing, no agenda, no plan, no goal, no nothing. That's when everybody starts to spiral, right? So isn't the 2% way also like a big advocate of like having a purpose with your day, accomplishing something, and really looking forward to things so that you can not worry about the lack of shit going on in your life and not having any purpose almost. Fulfillment, I think, really comes from it all.
Fulfillment, reward, no question. We have these lobes in our brain, Pat. We have a frontal lobe, parietal, occipital, whatever. We also have a limbic lobe, right? And this limbic lobe controls the reward system, right? So if you do something well, if you achieve a goal, if you meet a task, if you accomplish something, you get these excitatory neurotransmitters that get released, make you feel really good, give you that euphoric feeling. And even a small win, a small pat on the back, a small step forward is enough for you to feel real good and feel satisfied that you've made that reward, that you're driving through that purpose like you're speaking about. It gives your days a sense of order and structure. And as you mentioned, guys who have finished playing, sometimes they lack that structure, lack that sort of focus in what's next for them. And so having that 2% process that you can systematically walk through life and move forward in whatever you want to be, physician, outstanding entertainer, personality, musician, lawyer, law enforcement officer, whatever it may be, you have the design to do it. You can do it well. And we really try to push that message through in this book. So we're fired up.
Doc, that's awesome. I'm happy you're doing that for people, man. You're giving like an elite mind to people. You're breaking it down like, hey, this is how we become better humans as a whole. Hey, will you explain, where's the medulla oblongata whenever you were breaking that entire thing? Is that a real thing?
It's a real thing. You got the medulla as part of your brainstem. That's the last part of your brainstem before your brain turns into your spinal cord. And it has a lot of different cranial nerves in there. It controls your ability to swallow, ability to speak. Some of your major cortical spinal tracts run through there. So it's a very important part of the brain for sure.
Shout out to my medulla oblongata.
Shout out.
How'd you find time to write this book? We were talking about this. When you're a brain surgeon, obviously your hours, I think they're very long, and then you get a couple of days off, then you're back on, then you're back off. So in your off time, to spend time to write a book, I've heard from people writing a book is miserable. Now, I don't know if brain surgery is miserable as well, or whatever the case, but how did you find time to do this? And are you a super regimented guy every single day? Is it like, are you, I don't want to say a robot, but are you pretty systematic with every single day, like Mark Wahlberg and The Rock and them?
Well, the blessings that my program here at Harvard provide is that we have some time for research, where we have no clinical responsibility for about a year or so. So during that time, I was over in Africa, in Zambia, doing pediatric neurosurgery. I went back home to the Bahamas, went to the Caribbean, other parts, Guyana, Trinidad, Montserrat, Antigua, just help uplift neurosurgical care there. But that wasn't a 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. sort of work. And so it gave me some time to really just dedicate each day, maybe an hour, 2 hours, writing things down, putting pen to paper. And also, Pat, I wrote some of these stories that I mentioned in this book years ago, and I saved them on Word documents. So when it was time to write a book, I could pull them and I can know what I had in front of me, and I was able to put it together that way. So I had a lot of support, and thankfully I had a little bit of time with this research year and these elective years to sort of really put my thoughts to be vulnerable on paper and to hopefully inspire somebody. I read books when I was younger. Ben Carson's book, Gifted Hands, it inspired me to want to do neurosurgery. He planted the seed of being a Black neurosurgeon, and that really opened up the world for me, exposing me to that. Even knowing that Samari and Antrell and these other guys played football before me, I knew I wanted to get to the league, but I knew that wasn't the end goal. And so thinking about Dr. Carson's story, reading that in the 5th grade, knowing that unlocked my future, hopefully my book and others can do that for some young person who may see themselves in my story.
Man, hey, you're going to be president someday, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You know that? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're going to be a sitting president. Well, I can, I guess. Born in the Bahamas. No. We'll change that. That'll be changed, hopefully. Need you as president someday. You just sound, everything you say, there's never a flaw, never a flub. And in this thing that you wrote to describe the book, we read through it. Great work writing that. I would like to let you know we didn't disrespect your work writing that. You talked about how playing in front of like 70, 80,000 people has actually benefited you whenever you're doing brain surgery or whatever, because the pressure that is felt. Is that something that happens in the surgery world that maybe the doctors aren't ready for as much as somebody who has played in big time games? And how do normal surgeons get through that? And is that, because when you mentioned that, I'm like, yeah, what happens if a doctor has been to school for however many years it takes, however much money, and then they get there, and then in the big moment, oh shit! You kind of got to be a clutch person. That had to feel good that you kind of naturally just jumped in there. And did the nerves get you ever? And how do you calm those down?
Yeah, it's a great point. I think sports has helped me tremendously in this walk of being a physician, and definitely the pressure aspects of it. You get into the brain where you have 1 millimeter to the left and you're in the speech center, 1 millimeter to the right, and you can affect how someone hears.
No way, dude. I'm not fucking in there. I'm not. No way, dude. Seriously, though. I'm so sorry. You're just, like, in my head, I'm like, you literally just, this is somebody's life right here. Here you go. Go on. The amount of pressure that is next level. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, the brain is a beautiful thing. And one day you come to Harvard and you come to Boston, I'd love to take you to the hospital. You can scrub into the case and we get some signed consent, and you can see the actual brain pulsating right in front of you. It's a beautiful thing. But yes, it's life or death. It's right in front of you, and there's some very intricate structures that really can take away someone's meaningful life and their ability to function in daily life. So, when you're able to go back to your football days, when you're playing against Tim Tebow and the Florida Gators, and they're driving on you, and you think about, look, your back's on the wall, you're in the tight zone, you have to make this stop, you calm yourself down, take a few heartbeats, relax yourself and go back to your fundamentals. It's the same sort of process that I've used now when we get into some bleeding or we get a little seizure during the case, or maybe we nick a vessel that we shouldn't have. Calm down, go back to your fundamentals, and remember that this patient on the table, they expect you to do well and perform at your optimum. So you have to save their life and do everything you can. Everyone in the room has to do that, not just you as a surgeon, scrub techs, anesthesia, circulating nurse. Everyone's got to be on the same page. It's a team environment. And so being an athlete has certainly helped me now being a physician, especially a neurosurgeon.
Hell yes. But just explaining. Now, this is the medulla oblongata right here. Okay? This is... I do believe I don't need to go into the surgery room. If you guys want to send me a Harvard shirt, though, I'll wear it. I'll wear it. This is the medulla oblongata right here, right?
Yeah, yep, right over there. Yeah, that's about right.
And then this is the which one of the? How come I'm always told that I'm only using like 20% of my brain or something? Is that real? And how do I get the rest of it to fucking operate and stop being so lazy? And which part of it is being lazy, just so I know?
Are you right or left-handed? That's one question I got, Pat.
Right-handed, but I bat lefty.
True. That's right.
I bat lefty in baseball, but I am right-handed.
Okay, a little bit of everything. Well, your speech center is probably in the left side, your left part of your brain. Okay. And so, yeah, right. In the inferior frontal lobe, that's where your speech would be produced. Okay. Right around there. That's right. And then you have your occipital lobe in the back is your visual cortex. In the back there. Yep. So that controls, how you see things. Then your temporal lobe down in the bottom there, if you can bring your hand down just a little bit. Nope, a little bit more forward, Yeah, temporal lobe. That's a little bit more memory, right? And you have some speech there as well.
Shout out.
Shout out. Shout out to this one here.
And then those big sort of tongues in the back. That's your cerebellum, and that controls your coordination, your balance, and sort of
Cerebellum.
how you can punt the football so well by making sure the ball goes down and hits your foot. That your cerebellum is really important for that.
Shout out to the fucking cerebellum, dude.
Shout out.
And then what's going on this side? Nothing? Nothing's going on this side over here?
That's also the occipital lobe. That's also all part of the occipital lobe. It's all, even though you have that hemisphere in the middle, that sort of fissure that splits it in the middle, your occipital lobe is all in the back.
And what's this? Is this the part of my brain that they say I'm not using right now unless I go into acid or ayahuasca or DMT or any of that other stuff? Is that this part of the brain, the right side?
Well, so your right frontal lobe is what we call the body's natural airbag. You don't really need it as much, especially if you're left-handed.
Get it out.
However, I will say the important part of the frontal lobe, especially with you and I, Pat, and other athletes, for CTE, that is where proteins are deposited right in the frontal lobe because it affects executive functioning, personality, decision making. You can get suicidality, get aggression, violence. So when they study brains, Aaron Hernandez and other guys who have had CTE, a lot of the deposits happen in the frontal lobe. And so that's a common area where you see it, the damage.
Hey, are you going to dive it? That feels like that's your intersection, right?
Yeah, no question. I'd love to. I mean, I love football. Obviously, I still watch it, and I'd love to have a foot into that and a foot into my science, what I do in the operating room. And, I've been called to talk to the Chargers and the Rams and the Colts, my team, the Titans. I've spoken to Florida State, University of Arizona about COVID and about some medical conditions that can happen when you play football. So I love the intersectionality between what I do for a daily life and also the chapter of my life that I just left, being an athlete.
So I honestly, if you, and obviously you know this because you have a lot of friends that played football still, which I'm assuming there's not a lot of doctors that have a lot of friends that are in football. I've been around those types, the doctors type. They actually make fun of the sports guys a lot. I understand that. You know that more than I do because the amount of things that are said about you probably in that group, even though you can hold your own. If somebody was able to create some sort of something to slow that down. I mean, I've had teammates that have had at least 15 concussions. I mean, and they're just sitting on deck, they're just like waiting and very scared about what the future is. Somebody could get clarity on that and hopefully help out in the future as opposed to it just being viewed as something that's going to take down this sport that we all love. If it was something that could help the gladiators that played in the sport that we love, I think we'd all be very grateful. And so, I know you know that as well. It'd be dope if we could get there from a neuroscience point of view,
Yeah, I believe 100%. And I think we're working towards that. And I think there's multidisciplinary sort of approach to try to affect change in CTE from neurosurgeons, neurologists, sports psychologists, all different elements. And one thing that I tell former teammates of mine when they ask me, hey, what can I do to help my brain, right? I tell them, one, eat a lot of vitamin E. I think that's important. Pumpkin seeds, all these different vitamin E rich foods. I say get a lot of rest.
What is vitamin E? I've never heard of this. How come this is the first time I'm hearing of this? Vitamin E, I'm sorry. Hold on, okay?
And E is important. Mocha is important, right? So, you can get that from coffee eggs. Right, you got it. You got it going, no question. I said getting a lot of rest is important. People often think that you got to grind all the time, but when you rest, you have this glymphatic system that sort of takes away the metabolic waste and sort of drains it away when you sleep, and it's most active when you do get good quality rest. So that's important. Staying hydrated is important, Pat. So you got to stay tanked up, right? Blood volume, body fluid, got to keep it up so that nutrients and minerals can get to your brain tissue. And then I tell my teammates all the time, you should do maybe 10, 15 minutes of brain teasers, crossword puzzles, some sort of activity for your brain, for your mind, to keep it active, to keep it moving, just like any muscle. So I give that advice all the time to my boys because I think it's important. You got these young men who've given their life to this sport, and you've seen the degeneration processes that have happened so early in some of these players that we're trying to avoid that. They need to preserve life because they're valuable members of the community and they're of their families too, and we need to keep that going.
Yeah, and their stories are worth being heard too. I think every ex-player has a story that could make them money if they figure out how to use it, but that's a conversation for another day. So the brain is actually a muscle that I can work and make better.
No question. We got this thing called neuroplasticity, right? So you can have different cells that learn and rework and rewire, find different ways to learn things, right? Let's take, for instance, we have patients who have strokes, for instance, and sometimes these strokes can can cause brain cells to be lost, essentially. But the cells that border where those cells that have just died, those new cells can say, you know what, I'm going to learn how to speak. I'm going to learn how to see this way or see that way.
Dude,
This
shout
old
out
cell
to
used
the
to be able to
brain.
do that, but now I'm going to take over that role and sort of learn it. It takes some time. Neuroplasticity is not something that happens overnight, but the brain is a beautiful thing. It's better than any computer, man-made computer we can think of. That's why I love going into it, and I love operating on it, and hopefully saving lives through the process of my enjoyment of the science, for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm enjoying the hell out of this conversation about what's inside my ears here, and I'm learning a lot. I need you and everybody that's listening to know that Dr. Myron Rolle was the one that said the brain is smarter than any AI or anything.
Correct.
That was not me.
No.
That was not us.
No.
That was not us. So that was Dr. Myron Rolle.
That's right.
Harvard neurosurgeon. That was you. Sorry, because the AI is listening to us right now. So they are not going to be happy with what you just said. Or she.
Or she.
You sexist.
No, I'm sorry.
There's
Lambda.
no reason. Lambda was...
How dare you?
Boom.
See?
That's your problem.
What do you mean?
Ty, your question for Dr. Hey, we appreciate this. This is an incredible conversation that we never have on this show. And I don't think I get to hear enough of, although incredibly interested in the brain because you only have one, and I use mine way too much and it never shuts down. So I would like to learn about it a little bit more. And I only know one neurosurgeon, believe it or not. Go ahead, Ty Schmidt.
Dr. Rolle, how hard was it when you have something like COVID where it's kind of all hands on deck and that isn't necessarily what you're trying to do with the neurosurgery, but like how hard was it when, I assume most of your time was dedicated to that. Do you ever feel like you had to kind of like double up on, because I assume there's like a path that you have to stay on here to make sure you're on top of your shit, but how difficult was it balancing the two when COVID came?
Yeah, it was very difficult. It's a great question. I think our hospital, Mass General, was the main feeder for everywhere else in the New England area. People just came to us, and if they had COVID, if they had suspected COVID, they were walking through the doors, sometimes being rolled through the doors, and we needed more bodies. And so the elective surgeries that we had planned as neurosurgeons, orthopedics, OB-GYN, plastic, no matter what you did, that was put on hold, and we needed bodies actually to man the surge clinic so that you can triage patients and take care of them. It was a steep learning curve to try to figure out this respiratory illness, learn about it, learn what infectious disease consults I needed, what sort of imaging was necessary, how to flip patients prone, how to think about COVID and how to protect myself, because my wife was pregnant at the time, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't passing anything on to her and our unborn child at the time. So what, again, I think helped me during that moment was football. And I keep going back to it, learning how to be flexible and adaptable, how to adjust on the fly, knowing that, yes, I came in to do brain surgery, spine surgery, but I'm needed now, and we're all needed in the emergency department to help out with these very vulnerable and sick patients. So difficult time. Now, thankfully, we're back to our normal pace at our hospital where we're able to do surgeries that we love, and I'm able to help people in the science that, I've grown to be a part of. So it's exciting.
You just brought it up there, and I don't mean to change subjects too much, but I feel like as somebody who, hopefully I'll be able to have a child someday, and when I do, I feel like it should be mandatory that every kid has to play in a team sport. Like, I honestly, the people that I've met that haven't played in a team sport, I almost immediately recognize whenever a situation arises, like, hey, not everything's going to work out for you. Like, not everything is going to be awesome. There's going to be terrible times where you're going to rely on other people. You have to trust people to do stuff. Like, I feel like team sports really teach some things that I think are vital to the success of a human. Now, I'm just saying that strictly because I grew up in all team sports, but it's nice to hear you talking about it as well, because that's from a completely different, place of society almost that doesn't do sports at all. I think that is, I'm happy to hear you talk about team sport like that, though, honestly.
You're absolutely right. Communication. How do you communicate with people who are different than you? How do you take coaching? How do you understand when, you're being told a good instruction, maybe in a firm voice, but you got to, sift through some of the maybe coarse language and get to how is this person trying to improve me? And then knowing how to lose. Right? You have to know how to lose and how to bounce back from that. Not all brain surgery or spine surgery ends up well, right? Some outcomes are poor, some are less desired, and it's a difficult time. And sometimes it's life or death in those instances. But you have to find a resolve within you. You have to find a way to be better the next time, and because the next patient is expecting your utmost. They're expecting you to deliver. They're not expecting you to still wallow in sorrow from the past defeat that you just had. And so, yes, I agree. Team sports helps you be a better human, a better civilian, a better leader for sure, a better employer. All around, I think it has so much value. And so I tell my mentees all the time, especially the ones who do participate in sports, keep it up. Take what you're learning in practice in the weight room on a game field, because it can translate to what you want to do the next chapter of your life, the next phase of your life, when you're going to have a valuable impact in the community.
Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, doctor, speaking of the next chapter, actually, you played in the NFL, you became a brain surgeon, now you're an author. Are you going to go to space next? Or
here we go.
be like a
Space
Navy
doctor.
SEAL maybe?
Space
What do you
doctor.
think? Yeah.
Oh man, I've always thought about how policy can help, and I don't know if it's it's in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. I'm not sure if it's here, but how can you affect change in many lives, many generations? And I'm not sure if that's in public office or what, but I feel that there's, after neurosurgery or, whenever neurosurgery is done with me, that there could be an opportunity to try to affect change through, driving systematic changes where you're just shifting the way people think about health or access to health, equitable, timely access to health. Think about those individuals on the margins, so they're educated, so there's, they have resources to do what they need to do. I know my family, my story, origin story, coming from the Bahamas and coming to this great country of America, having this opportunity to do well. The doors opened up for me because I grinded, I worked hard, I had great support system. I had a few breaks here and there, but the opportunities are presented, and not everyone has that. And I just want to try to provide that for the most people as possible. And if it's through policy, if it's through a larger organization that can spread that sort of goodness around the world, that would be fantastic. That may be the next chapter, but I think we're a ways away from that.
Hell yeah.
I'm still in love with the brain.
Hell yeah. We need you on the brain for at least until you cure CTE.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tone.
Doctor, I've also studied a lot of medicine in my day. And the one thing that I've noticed in my studies, and you talked about, taking criticism, stuff like that. But when you're going through your residency, and specifically surgical residency, is it as competitive as I've noticed between you and the other residents, trying to get surgeries and attention from the lead doctors and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. It could be difficult when you're trying to manage personalities, but at the end of the day, you're trying to figure out how you're going to help this patient the best they possibly can. When you're in an elite place like Harvard, where people are coming from Dartmouth, Princeton, they're all sort of cerebral. They all come with a lab, and they come with research papers of 10, 15 times published in some of the best journals around the world. And then you come in as a 6'2" black jock who's like, oh, you look like a football player. Are you really a neurosurgeon? So, you kind of have to prove your worth at each time. But I love that pressure, and I love those moments. I love being tested, being tried. Dr. Rolle, do you know what you're going to do here? Dr. Rolle, do you know what you're going to do here? What if A and B fails? What is C, D, and E? What are the other options? And I'm ready to hit it every single time because I know those questions are coming. I anticipate it, just like I anticipate a slant route. If you're lined up at a certain part of the numbers, I know what you're going to do. And I cherish those moments to be able to step forward and say, I'm here. I'm here as a representative. I'm here as somebody who can be a conduit for other people who look like me to be the next neurosurgeon at Harvard. It's exciting to hold that role. And so it's been a great ride, and I've enjoyed my colleagues, my attendings. This hospital is one of the best. We get some of the most complex pathologies. People fly from all over the world. So I'm seeing some of the most rarest tumors, the most rarest spinal deformities. And it's just, it's fascinating to be able to work on that sort of stuff.
Well, we're all very thankful that you're representing our sport in such a beautiful fashion. You're obviously an anomaly, and hopefully in the future it won't be, I think is what you're saying. And with the 2% way and living your life by it, you can make every day a little bit better than the day before. I appreciate the hell out of you for your time, Doc. I seem to get to save a life this afternoon, so thank you for taking a small break to chit-chat with us and make us seem a lot smarter than we actually are.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all all the time.
Hey, vitamin E, mocha, hydration, rest, 10 to 15 minutes of brain teasers.
Yep.
Block trail.
And then your brain can become stronger.
Let's go.
Hell yeah. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Myron Rolle. Thank you. Thank you, doctor. His book is available right now, The 2% Way, in bookstores around there. 5-star review on Barnes & Noble,
then
4.9 on Amazon.
Pretty
Not
good.
bad.
Bingo.
I think that's good. We don't know
good.
shit about fuck. We had one of the largest book clubs in the history of book
True.
clubs.
That's true.
But we don't know about the rating system and who's giving what. I would like to hear more from that. I read this thing. Only a few years ago, Dr. Myron Rolle was a college football player recruited by the Tennessee Titans of the National Football League. He faced a kind of hyper-successful future that most children only dream about, especially as a kid who had to fight stereotypes at every turn. But Dr. Rolle had different, and in some ways bigger, dreams. He had trained his whole life to win big, both in football and medicine. The sports world had difficulty understanding his intellect, and the medical world had difficulty grasping his passion for neurosurgery and football. Most doctors don't realize that being able to perform in front of 80,000 fans who watch every move is a unique kind of pressure. They don't know football primes you for neurosurgery. Both require a kind of diligence that borders on fanaticism. Now, as a Harvard neurosurgeon, Dr. Rolle is on the front lines facing off against his latest opponent, COVID-19. We are clearly not going to eradicate this virus overnight, but if we use the 2% way, we are certain to gradually overcome this powerful adversary. The Rhodes Scholar's upcoming book, The 2% Way, How Philosophy of Small Improvements Took Me to Oxford, the NFL, and Neurosurgery, unfurls a gripping personal odyssey while revealing the counterintuitive worldview that drove it. That setting modest daily goals is the formula for achieving immense goals.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Dr. Myron Rolle.
Unbelievable.
The fucking book is probably great.
I'm sure it is.
That's just 2 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he read a book that inspired him to be a brain surgeon in 5th grade.
Yep.
Dr. Ben Carson, he said.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's much different than us.
Yeah.
I was reading Where the Red Fern Grows.
Putting
Good book, but no.
Bunkers
also a good
underneath
book.
my desk.
I don't know if this music is playing or not. We don't have to go until a minute, so.
Oh, there
Yes!
it is. There it is.
Hey,
it is.
Nick and Seat want to work on this old-ass computer right here.
Yeah.
What a good hour there.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Medulla oblongata right there.
Right there.
Right next to the spine.
Right here.
That
And then,
stuff is very interesting.
hey, this is where the personality and everything kind of lives.
Yep.
This is where the memory is, though. This some bitch right here. Balance across the back there, kind of holds you down. This memory right here will be fantastic. Front left also need it because that's where the talking goes.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm mostly a right here guy, and then back here.
Time to play a lot of
Then I try to
blocks.
stay out of this side here.
Yeah.
It's crazy how the personality, too, he basically said is just an airbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. You can live without it.
Fuck. What did he say?
Transmitters?
No.
No, something.
Neuroelasticity.
Yes, maybe. Where
Yeah.
your other brain cells, once one part potentially doesn't work anymore, the other ones go, oh, we can
learn
kind of
that.
do
Yeah,
that.
I can learn that.
So that means you can work your brain into becoming a better one. So that means we should do that on a regular
you should.
basis.
New goal.
Hell yeah.
Especially with how much you guys are smoking that dope.
Well,
I didn't get
it
to
is.
ask him what that meant. Did that help tap into the airbag a little bit more?
Should.
Felt like I'm in the clouds.